It's a myth that we're telling women, which is that they can have children later if they freeze their eggs. It's a crazy myth, and some of them can, and some of them can't.
None of my eggs survived the thaw. None of the 15 eggs I paid $16,000 for.
The overachieving eggs.
The overachieving eggs decided not to wake up after being frozen.
Here's somebody else that says 16,000 with the crying emojis. They price it like it's a for sure thing. Imagine having a business where you can charge people $16,000 to actually not deliver.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Strong and hyper independent woman learns the consequences of delaying marriage, embracing feminism, and the pain of having to freeze your eggs.
I have this whole idea in my head that I would be married and already have 2 children by a certain age. I told myself I would have all that by like 30. I'm 32, which is still young, and I'm single, not married, but definitely like financially stable, travel, got my life figured out. But I don't have like the relationship figured out. I don't have the whole kid situation figured out. And it's kind of like depressing a little bit. I say this because I just got off the phone with a fertility clinic because I am going to freeze my eggs. And I just like got off the phone and I just feel so, like me freezing my eggs make me feel so bad in a way, because I don't want to not be able to have children when that time comes. But apparently the time has not been sooner than I would have liked, which would be 30, but I'm 32 now. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's kind of sad for me.
All right, so there you go. Here she is. But check this video out. Here's a woman who had a response to her that will blow your mind, and also was interesting to me because I've actually covered this chick before in the past.
I'm 32, which...
So this video is obviously very heartfelt, and I do not mean to disrespect that in any way. My heart goes out to her and to other women who find themselves in a similar situation. But if you think you recognize her, it might be from a little Netflix show back in the day called Too Hot to Handle, where she was very loud and proud about being the life of the party, hypersexual, basically in these streets. And listen, that was like 5 years ago when we watched it, so probably even further back for her. Obviously, she's changed, right? And listen, this is not shade. Honestly, Melinda, girl, if you see this, I wish you all the best, the husband, the kids, the baby, all of it. I want you to have it all. But my message is for the younger women who are currently in these streets. Hear me, the internet is forever. And the choices that you make, especially the ones that you broadcast, they have consequences. I'm not saying don't live your life, right? You know, date people, go to parties, have fun. But if you brand yourself as the fun party girl, don't be surprised when all guys want to do is have fun and party with you. That's not me judging, honestly.
Right.
That's just me explaining how branding works, because that's how people work.
God bless this obviously wonderful woman. Yes. The Coffee Pot is backed by FathersHaveRights.com, the ultimate prenup prep guide for men who value marriage in our modern day. Future husbands, the divorce industry makes billions when men walk into a lawyer's office unprepared. Don't let the system profit from your ignorance. My step-by-step guide at FathersHaveRights.com, created with expert attorneys James Sexton and the lead attorney, hands you the questions, checklists, and strategy to walk in 10 steps ahead, and it costs only a couple of coffee dates. Click the link pinned to the top of the comment section, secure your future, and join the hundreds of men preparing their marriages the right way. Because I always say, rarely do you see women warning the younger women coming up, because this is very, very real. And even if it's just one that decides not to go the hypersexual route. You know, she was the life of the party at one point, probably didn't care, focused on only building her business, her following. You heard her. She said, I have everything I want, everything, except the kids and the husband. And if you drink coffee, you don't have to think too hard to answer the question as to why she's in this position.
That I have to now freeze my eggs because I don't have a partner to have children with. I'm not married, and I'm literally freezing my eggs. Like I feel like a failure in that department, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just rambling, and I just felt like, why not share with you guys? I don't know. I hope this video finds my people. I hope this video
Sure
finds people that can relate and comment about your experiences and where are you at in life.
One of the things people don't know about the freezing egg industry is just how unreliable the whole process is. In fact, so unreliable that women at this time in today's modern day are actually beginning to call it a huge scam. Because it's not only expensive, almost like $1,000 an egg, but so many women end up not having any eggs that survive the process that they feel so deceived by the way the whole process was sold to them as an almost guarantee. Here's another video where I cover this. Previously on the Coffee Pod. You know, it's a really great segment on this topic. This lady, and she was on the Diary of a CEO podcast. She goes into detail about the importance of mothers being there for their children, importance of fathers too, but really the critical parts of early stages, the first 3 years of a baby's life, so on and so forth. And she talks about egg freezing and how there's like this myth and lie. Check it out.
There's a myth that we're telling women, which is that they can have children later if they freeze their eggs. It's a crazy myth, and some of them can and some of them can't. My son's girlfriend is working in a law firm, and the law firm has said basically they will pay for the freezing of eggs to women. And it's a manipulative way of getting them to work many, many more years intensely. And they said, don't worry, you can have a baby when you're in your 40s. And what's happening is women are getting to their 40s and the eggs that they froze don't necessarily turn into embryos, and the embryos don't necessarily turn into babies. They're bereft because they were lied to. So we are telling a lot of lies to accommodate to a narrative that is quite an unhealthy narrative.
No, and nobody talks about that, right? No one talks about how often a woman is disappointed when she thinks, hey, there's a fail-proof plan here of freezing eggs. Does it work out for some people? Yes, it does. But just imagine how devastating it is to want children not be able to actually have them. It's very sad. And this is the consequence of feminism and encouraging women to prioritize their degrees and education over what most of them want, even though they'll tell you they won't, which is a healthy relationship with a man. I actually think I have one more video on this topic that was pretty good too. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, I think I've got one more video. This was it.
None of my eggs survived the thaw. None of the 15 eggs I paid $16,000 for.
The overachieving eggs.
The overachieving eggs decided not to wake up after being frozen.
And yes, guys, you did hear that right. $16,000 for those 15 eggs, which sounds like $1,000 per egg. Profitable business for whoever's going to actually open these businesses. Maybe something for you to invest in. It's just the reality of the situation. Are you going to invest in women kind of coming to terms with the fact that they can't delay, starting a family, and they should capitalize on earning marriage, right? Becoming wives and becoming the best possible option. Are you going to bank on that? Or are you going to bank on the fact that the majority of them are going to continue with their unrealistic expectations for men and society as a whole and buy into the lie that feminism sold them? That's just simple business here.
So for 5 years, I'd had this fake peace of mind that I had an insurance policy that the fertility industrial complex convinced me I had to not be able to use any one of them. And this doctor was like, I'm so sorry, Destine. And I said, I thought this was an insurance policy. He's like, that's what I hate about this industry is people keep thinking freezing your eggs is an insurance policy. It is an avenue to open up potential options.
And so, there are a lot of people who hear this type of content and they think, oh, you're just out here being discouraging. No, people need to know this truth. They need to know that it's not a fail-proof plan. People who want families, people who want to eventually have children, they should know this. Even couples who think that they could take this approach should know this. Let's read a few of these comments. Top comment here says they should be forced to pay you back. This is insane. They paint it as an insurance policy. Of course they will. We live in a capitalistic society, and that's not the problem. The problem is you won't accept that, and you think that your job, who says, yeah, we'll pay for your egg freezing, that they actually have your best interest in mind over the men who are saying, hey, if you act right, we can work something out over here. You've chosen to believe in the company. You've chosen to submit to your boss. Unfortunate. Somebody else who says the success rate is well documented. The market hides that. So they hide that so that people don't know. And this chick responded back and says, so it's partially because a great deal of patients never go back to the frozen eggs. Here's somebody else who says, only freeze embryos. I did my research and talked to women. Only freeze embryos, never eggs only. Somebody else who says, pro tip, before you choose a doctor group or facility, ask about their thaw rates and look at their actual data. Some of the egg freezing businesses have extremely high thaw rates and others don't. Good luck. Here's somebody else who says 16,000 with the crying emojis. They price it like it's a for sure thing. Imagine having a business where you can charge people $16,000 to actually not deliver on the promise or the potential service. Somebody else who says, I've been saying this is a scam, preying on the fears of women, scarcity, mindset. Here's somebody else who says, that's so messed up. Here's somebody else that added, they need to advocate for freezing some embryos with a donor at least on top of freezing eggs alone. Another person who says, new fear unlocked. What do you mean? Here's somebody else who says, it's giving pink tax. Somebody else here added, didn't know this was possible. I want you guys to think about this. They didn't know that there's a possibility of failure rate when it comes to freezing eggs, because majority of the time when people talk about this, it's like it's a breeze. This chick says the egg saw the world it was coming into and said, hell no. Here's somebody else who says, I totally believe egg freezing is a scam. None of my friends were able to use their frozen eggs. They had to do IVF and get fresh eggs. Here's another chick that says, I was recently talking to an OBGYN who said frozen embryos have a better success rate than eggs. It's definitely something that should be communicated better. Another person here says egg freezing was such a marketing scam. There wasn't enough evidence that it would be successful enough to justify the cost. Another person here says the same goes for getting them implanted. The pregnancy isn't guaranteed either. So why does it cost so much? I think part of the reason it costs so much is basically based on their ideal customer, right? You got to think these are businesses. So they're sitting down looking at their ideal customer. Chances are you are a woman. If you're pushing off having children, having a family, then you're doing that most likely because you want to prioritize your career or growing or climbing up the corporate ladder, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, business person, high net worth individual, most likely. And so they're going to set that price accordingly. And then you're advertising to women. I mean, there's no other ideal client when it comes to gender that's more ideal than women, right? They're more likely to buy and emotionally driven. And this is a highly emotionally charged topic and situation. I think it's sad at the end of the day, as somebody who does have children. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't have kids. And so, I do feel bad for the people who want children and never got to experience the beauty of having a family. Truly a beautiful thing. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.